What if like we put something in there, you know, like a dead body? Oh, this might not be what you're expecting. I thought it'd be really difficult to try and find people to take their clothes off. This could literally kill me. I think I pulled a muscle in my anus. Mummy, I'm singing Purple Rain. And I was like, yes, give me more of this.
All that and more coming up on HelloFi podcast number 2 from Lo-Fi Studios in Glasgow, purveyors of recording and rehearsal facilities to suit every artist's needs. Give us a call on 01412485050 or visit lofistudios.com. Coming up in this episode, we've got Tim Courtney, the BAFTA Award-nominated composer, director, writer, producer, all-round nice guy. And we should really talk more about his career, but we do end up talking a lot about TV shows that we like. So let's just get wired in, shall we? Hello. This annoying thing on here where whenever I start, when it's hit record, I get a 2-bar count in.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And I figured out how to turn it on, but I can't figure out how to turn it off.
What are you using?
I'll find just Ableton.
Right.
Because I'm lazy that way.
I know Logic's got a button that says 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just hit that because that's the 4-bar counting.
So we're here for episode 2 with Mr. Tim Courtney.
Hi.
BAFTA nominated composer, writer, director, producer, musician, all round good guy.
When you put it like that,
yeah,
sounds impressive. Yeah.
Fellow former denizen of Aberdeen.
That's right. Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah. I was just at home looking after the dog, doing a bit of editing, and
nice.
Kind of decided to drop in for a chat.
Are you editing anything exciting at the minute?
At the minute, I'm actually editing something really corporate and boring.
Well, let's not go into that.
Yeah,
then.
totally. It's what we call the bill payer kind of stuff.
Yeah, we've all done those.
But at the minute, I am working on a music video for the band The Vantees.
Oh yeah, we get them in here.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Cool. Rehearsing.
Yeah, rehearsing. Yeah. How's that going?
Good. Yeah. I had a meeting with our stylist last night. It's probably one of the most ambitious music video projects which has fallen on my lap, which is a great thing, obviously. I just hope we can pull it off.
Well, you got to do it at some point.
Yeah. I mean, this involves something like it's kind of look-wise, it's kind of a cross between Only God Forgives, Drive, Spring Breakers, but on the screen, like substance, it's kind of Teen Wolf meets Grease. So you can imagine the tone of like Only God Forgives, a film like that, and to a certain extent Spring Breakers, all that kind of neon lights and things like that.
Yeah. Kind of very saturated. And...
Yeah, with like Teen Wolf and Grease.
The new film Drive, starring Michael J. Fox as the driver.
So yeah, I mean, I had a meeting with Sharon, our stylist, yesterday, and we're just going through like costume and stuff like that, and we're all just getting really excited with like dressing people up in varsity jackets and biker jackets and stuff. And
but it's all about the jacket.
It's all about the jacket, yeah.
I mean, if you're talking Teen Wolf and you're talking Drive and Only God Forgives, it's all about the jacket.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, I wrote a treatment and I sent it out to Sharon, and before we had our meeting yesterday, And so she's asking me things like, "Oh, so what are you wanting to wear under the jacket?" And I was like, I don't know. That's where you come in, because I was just specific about jackets. That's my thing.
Are you an owner of many fine jackets, or do you have like a couple of choice ones?
Oh, you know what? I used to have a lot of jackets. Um, when I was like 25 or something, where you kind of hit your your peak, and yeah, I used to have quite a lot. I had like a couple of leather jackets. I had one with like a huge 70s lapel, which
I think I remember that one.
uh,
I think I remember that you having that one.
and a few blazers and whatnot. But like, I don't know. Nowadays, I'm lucky I can afford a new jacket.
Isn't it like, do you find it true that you go from being a teenager where, certainly in my instance, you can't really afford these things, so you wear whatever you've got, and then you get into your 20s and you're working more, and you like, I can now afford this nice jacket or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
And then you get past that into your 30s, where certainly in our field, all of a sudden, instead of you ploughing money into your wardrobe, you're ploughing money into projects, and you're ploughing money into your house or your car or whatever.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
all of a sudden, once again, jackets are no longer a thing that you can afford to buy.
That that is exactly right. I mean, when I was a student, you blow your student loan on like CDs and clothes and stuff like that. And then in my mid 20s, working a lot in like, I mean, I worked in a coffee shop, as
Oh,
you
I
know.
remember. I remember Kilo well.
And yeah, I mean, I probably used to spend like half my wage on like clothes and stuff like that. But yeah, no, these days now it's like projects, gear,
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, I've got a dog now as well, so it's a lot of my income spent on that. Um, not I love my dog though. He's worth it.
Uh, my girlfriend keeps going about getting a dog.
Oh really?
Yeah, she really wants a dog.
Oh man, it's great though.
We don't live together, so
All right, okay.
as soon as we do, I'm sure there'll be a
Yeah, yeah,
there'll
yeah.
be a third little
Well,
set of fluffy feet
it's
alongside my fluffy
it's
feet.
either a baby or a dog though, isn't it? That's what happens, especially when you're kind of our age. It's either a baby or a dog.
Yeah. Well, I've done the baby thing, so.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, if we're going chronologically backwards, which I think will be fun to do,
Hmm.
most recently the video for Catherine Joseph's The Worm.
Yeah, yeah.
How did that come about?
Um, well, obviously hailing from Aberdeen.
Of course.
Um,
Just to interrupt you there, it took me ages to realise that I actually knew who Catherine Joseph was.
all right, okay.
Because of the
'Cause-
change of name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we're
It's
changing
like,
name.
wait a minute, I do know her.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as you probably know, she's oddly kind of like introverted in a sense. Like when she's on stage, like you kind of think that she's got all this kind of like charisma and whatnot, and really she's like so self-deprecating, and she's really quite a introverted, shy kind of person. And I think changing her name has given herself a little bit more confidence, if that makes kind of sense.
Well, I suppose it allows her to be Catherine Joseph on stage
Yeah,
and then be herself
exactly,
off
exactly,
stage.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, from playing in like other bands and doing the kind of like singer songwriter thing that you do in your kind of mid 20s. Not that I was ever one of the kind of Buchanan Street types, but so I've played I played a couple of gigs with Catherine like maybe like 10 years ago or something like that. It was a long time. But yeah, I mean, me and Catherine kind of randomly kept in touch. We always bumped into each other. She was living in Glasgow for a bit, and I remember once I was getting a train. I can't remember where I was getting a train at the central station, and then I bumped into Catherine, and she was on her way back to Aberdeen, and she was asking me about film stuff, and I needed a location for a short film which I was doing, and she got me in touch with a girl who owned this huge townhouse which Catherine used to live in, which is right next door to Hits the Fan Records. So that's where she recorded that album. So, always kind of like keep each other in the loop, kind of thing. And I remember she did a Kickstarter for her album, and I put in some money because you know it was just one of those things. It was like a lot of people who have known Catherine and her music and how amazing her music is. Everyone's been wanting her to make this album. Make an album. God damn it! The world needs your music. God. And so when she said that she was doing a Kickstarter, I put in some money, and then she sent me an email. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I said, if you need a video or anything like that, just ask. And then this year, when the just before the album was released, she was doing like a mini tour around the release. So she asked me to shoot a video in Edinburgh at the Assembly Roxy. And so me and my DOP friend Andrew went and shot this video, and it was just really dark. So if you ever see that, this video is actually on YouTube, and it's just like, I remember talking to Marcus and be like, "Oh, Marcus, that sees the percussionist," and we were like, "Oh, it's really nice that you're illuminating the whole place with like table lamps and stuff like that. It's beautiful, but like we need more light for the camera." And he just kind of flat out refused. So we were like, okay, fine. And we shot it, and I thought it looked terrible. And I remember Andrew that night. Andrew was like, "Oh, I love Catherine's music. We definitely have to make a music video for her." So I think a couple of months went past. Andrew was nominated for a BAFTA, the BAFTA New Talent Awards that year. And I was at the awards ceremony, and afterwards he reminded me again, like, when are we making this Catherine Joseph video? And I was like, I don't know. So that night I text Catherine again, and she was like, "Oh, I've actually got a single coming up," and she told me about the Bird video, which the Scottish Ballet did.
Yeah.
So she was like, "You know what? That might actually be a really good idea to do like a double, a kind of double thing for the double A side." So yes, I cycled round to Claire's, who run the Hits the Fan Records. Had lunch with Marcus and Catherine, and we just chatted about about videos and stuff. And they were almost pitching to me about what they think the video should be like. And I had my own pitch, and when they were pitching this video, I was like, okay, yeah, they don't want this video that I've got at the back of my head. So
Yeah.
So I just kind of listened and listened and listened, and I remember saying, because they just want like lots of shots of like nature and stuff like that, and Scotland's great for for good nature shots.
Obviously.
But there's a difference between doing something like that, looks stunningly beautiful, and making a Visit Scotland advert.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Catherine as well, like that, it's like, okay, so when we're doing all these really nice shots of like trees, woodlands, mountains, etc., etc. What if like we put something in there, like a dead body or something, and just like make nothing of it? And she was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And that was the end of that. And I just kind of ran with that idea, and then I told Andrew about it because he was going to shoot it, and then we got Chris, a producer in Aberdeen, involved. And then so while we were out shooting it, we had so we were going to shoot all this stuff with the moving grass, the bracken, the mountains, and all this kind of stuff, the woods, and then there'd be a few kind of bodies here and there every now and again. But in the back of our minds, me and Andrew was talking, we don't want it to be like this Visit Scotland thing, so we need it to be a lot more than that. So we decided, okay, what we'll do is we'll shoot some extra stuff of like bodies and stuff like that, and then we'll cut our own video, and then we'll show them this video, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, we love it, that's exactly what we want. And then we'll be like, but look at this, and then hopefully they would pick that one, and then we'd be like, brilliant. But after the first day, because these things take a lot longer than you expect, we were looking at the rushes, and we pretty much hadn't been shooting this video which they had pitched. They had told us what they wanted, and me and Andrew were sitting there the first day, and Andrew goes, "You know what, Tim? I think we've really put our flag in the ground with this one." And I was like, "Yeah, totally." So we shot for a second day, and then it was into the edit, and I was editing it, and I was loving it, but it wasn't really what they had expected. So I was really, I was frightened that I'd send them this video and they'd be like, "What is this?" you know. But I sent it to them. Little disclosure: oh, this might not be what you're expecting, but but no, I mean, they loved it, and thankfully,
And one thing that definitely comes across in the video, aside from obviously Catherine's beautiful music, is just how beautifully shot it is. There's a obviously there's a lot of bands making music videos now. It's kind of something you have to do.
yeah,
It's gone are the days when you could just be like, oh, we don't make music videos. Even if you make a low budget one yourselves and put it out, the number of people that listen to music only on YouTube is
yeah.
horrific, but it's there. And seeing something that's not just, well, we've got a super fancy DSLR, we're just going to do a shallow focus and make it look as
Yeah,
professional as we possibly can with what we've got.
yeah.
And then seeing something like that, which is so cinematic and lush, specifically the scenes where you're going through the trees.
Yeah.
I mean that to me that was just beautiful, and mixed with that music, it was.
It's yeah. I mean, I remember like when we were filming it, and we had a guy Ross come out from Creative Video Scotland. He runs his own business. He's got a drone and all this, and so we're on that. I remember having the headphones on, listening to the to the song, and then watching the monitor as this the drone flies through the trees, and it's lucky we weren't like recording sound because it'd just be full of me going. So it's really hard to contain yourself.
Just getting right into the moment.
I know that's it. I mean, film and video is kind of like music in the way there's always trends and stuff like that. And at the moment, drone shots is really kind of trendy at the moment. So we kind of knew that we wanted these shots. I didn't think we could get a drone. I remember Claire from Hits the Fan saying, "Oh, do you reckon we can get a drone for some shots?" I was like, "Don't be stupid. We don't have." This is before they won the Say Award and had that prize money. So, so we were on a really really low budget. And I was like, "There's no way we can afford a drone shot." But Chris, our producer in Aberdeen, kind of pulled a few strings, asked some favors and stuff like that. And
as producers do.
Exactly. I mean, we didn't have a huge budget for this video, but it's like, when you make friends and and the project is exciting enough that people were like, oh, cool, they want to get involved. And I was just it was nice that there was people out there that could be, because the actors that we had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought it'd be really difficult to try and find people to take their clothes off and lie naked in the wilderness
In Scotland.
in Scotland. Exactly. But when you explain the project and explain that it's not it's not a CD kind of video that we're making,
That's far from it.
yeah. I mean, for me, the video is kind of about like, it kind of pretentious to say, but it's about how us as humans, we essentially come from the earth, and then eventually we return to the earth. We belong to it in a sense, and that was just to kind of like extremely illustrate that point.
It was an exceptional video. And,
Thanks.
I was watching it with these big googly eyes, my film lover's eyes, just going, that's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of drones, have you seen the OK Go video?
Is it one that is it Korea or something? They shot it, or
I think I don't know where it was they shot it, but like they did it all in another one of their usual
one take.
One take.
Yeah.
Massively choreographed.
Yeah. I mean, I showed Andrew that video, and because I was just like, yeah, this is amazing what you can do with drones these days. But like, yeah, I mean, the meticulous planning that would go into something like that, it's astounding. But it's funny as well when you're like a filmmaker and you read these blogs, you try and keep abreast of it all, current things, and you see in the comments and stuff, there's people picking it apart and like being like, "Oh, this video would be great if it wasn't for those when it goes into this aerial shot, you can see the markers and stuff." And it's like, will you ever be pleased? You know, can you not just marvel at how amazing this is visually?
Welcome to the internet, where no matter how good you are, somebody always thinks they could do it better.
I know, but to to the most of the people in the world, the concept and the story or the visuals and stuff like that, you kind of overlook that. You know, they always say in films as well that if you've got a great script, no matter how mediocre the cinematography is or the sound or whatever, if you've got a great script, you've got a great film pretty much. You know,
It's a great script and great actors.
Yeah. And it's the same with like music videos. You know, if you've got like a really good concept and the balls to pull it off, you can do it.
I'd say on that theory, something like With Neil and I, not
Yeah.
particularly well shot.
No.
You know,
But
sound isn't. There's nothing about the sound that makes you go, "Oh, listen to the sound production on that."
yeah.
You know, mainly just
But it's a classic, isn't
two
it?
great actors and just a phenomenal script. You know, and that's you. You're away.
There's a few great actors in that. Like the uncle, he's a great actor as well.
Richard Griffiths.
Yeah.
The late great Richard Griffiths.
Yeah.
Who, there's some reason, I never remember him as being Uncle Monty from With No and I. For some reason, I always remember him as when he was in the BBC adaptation of Gormenghast.
Oh, right, okay.
Which I hated because
Yeah.
I loved the book so much. Did you ever see it?
No. I actually thought you were
did.
going to say that you remember him as
Don't say Harry Potter.
no, as one of the characters from that Naked Gun movie. I think it was Naked Gun 2.
Was it 2 or 33 and a third?
I can't remember. They all blur into one in
Yeah.
some respects. But that's how I always remember.
It's like not playing this fantastic role in this fantastic film. And it's in With No Night. It's when he breaks into goes into the house and comes into the bedroom. It's just when you hear that voice where he's like, "My boys, my boys." Monty, you terrible cat!
Oh god, I need to see that again.
So good. I heard obviously Bruce Robinson talking about that. He said people keep shouting at him across the street, "You terrible cunt," and he doesn't know if they're just With No fans or if they really think he's a terrible cunt.
Yeah. Oh man, it's kind of different in Glasgow as well. It's like it is a term of endearment here.
Absolutely. Oh God, we're gonna have to put parental advisory on these explicit content.
You know, I was actually trying to keep my language fairly tame.
Oh.
I wasn't sure if this was
we were talking about Netflix earlier, I think before we started recording.
Yeah.
Have you watched BoJack Horseman?
Oh my god, I was kind of late to the party with BoJack Horseman.
Now there's a TV show that did the whole American thing of, you know, we'll say shit, we'll say bastard, and we'll steer right away from the F word, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the second season, drop a C-bomb.
Yeah.
Like, out of nowhere. Like, that show is genius.
That show is it's so good. It's like, it's an animated Californication when Californication was good in the early seasons, you know, but like with a horse. It's, it's so weird.
Because what weirds me out about that show is you get to a certain stage, you think, I know what this show is about. It's an anthropomorphic comedy.
Yeah.
And then they'll throw in an episode where for this whole second half of the episode, there's not a single laugh, but the whole thing's really dark and heavy, and you just sit there going...
Like that episode where BoJack's old writing partner has cancer.
Yeah.
And he's got to go out to is it Malibu or somewhere to visit him on his deathbed. It's like, oh man, that's really...
And there was an episode in the second series, I can't remember which one it was, but everything just goes, the laughs start becoming got slight titters, and then there's just observational stuff that you know is funny, but you don't laugh out loud at it, and
Yeah,
then it
yeah.
just goes into like super dark, deep, philosophical territory. And it's never bad. It doesn't make the show any less for doing it. It makes
No,
it
no.
better for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you get to the end of the episode just thinking, what have I just watched?
That's it. Like, I mean, you get sucked into that first episode. You get kind of sucked in with the humor and getting used to the world. And I think the moment where I thought, "Yep, I'm going to stick with this show," in the first episode was he's in a super he's in a supermarket, and there's a couple of dogs, and they're looking at like this special offer,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but she kind of picks up this chocolate and goes, "This could literally kill me." I'm so bad. This could literally kill me. And I'm like, because she's a dog. Ah! And then there's bits like in between, like I think it's the episode where BoJack goes jogging or something. But there's a guy cutting the hedge. He's a sheep and he's cutting the hedge with the shears. And he puts them down and then he takes a wee bite from the hedge. It's, little bits like that. I love.
It's genius. It's everybody in it's brilliant.
But it's a blessing that we have all these great pieces of television to consume, but because Netflix releases everything at once, it's great because you're like, yeah, you can keep watching and watching. But once it's done, it's like it's almost like coming off of drugs. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, I need my next fix.
I was like that with Daredevil.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh my god.
Because, like, put this out here, I'm not a big Marvel fan, and a lot of my problem with Marvel stuff is it's like there's too much fan service. I mean, you've got to serve the fans because
Yeah.
you've got to be good, respectful to the source material. But when your films standing as as a singular film kind of don't make too much sense, and then when there's like too much kind of gags and action to the point where it's like, well, what's the story?
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't really tell you what the story was for like the first Avengers movie. I mean, I did actually quite enjoy the first Avengers movie, but it's like, well, what's the story there? I don't know. There's a MacGuffin. That's all you need to know. Action, boom, boom, and like watching the Avengers like Age of Ultron, it's like, man, like. Pff, and my extent of comic book reading isn't quite as vast, so when you come to like characters like the Vision and stuff like that, who just appear, and I'm like, I don't understand what's actually going on here, and so that's my problem with like a lot of Marvel stuff. It's like too many kind of like gags, and everything's played for laughs or for action, blah blah blah. And apart from maybe say like Winter Soldier, which is actually a really good spy film, which like completely like knocked me
And
out.
Joe Russo now doing the third.
That's
installment
right.
of
Which I
Avengers.
think that's a good call.
But
But
apparently Joss Whedon just won't go back. He said Age of Ultron nearly killed him.
yeah, I don't know if that's kind of creative differences or what.
Well, you can watching the two of them, for me, being a lifelong fan of Joss Whedon since I watched the first episode of Buffy when it was first aired in BBC Two.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The first Avengers to me looks like and sounds like and feels like a Joss Whedon film.
Oh yeah. Oh definitely.
Age of Ultron does not.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's bits in it. The whole the running gag about swearing is pure Joss Whedon.
But it's not.
But not-
It's not funny though.
I found it hilarious.
Oh man, I was like sitting like, I think I pulled a muscle in my anus. I was cringing so bad at that, and like, and they wouldn't drop it. It went through the whole film, like, oh, when are you going to drop this? But I mean, I wasn't as big on Buffy. I mean, I did watch a lot of Buffy, but I didn't get into Firefly, I must say.
Oh,
Hang me, crucify me, whatever.
I'd say, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I mean, your opinion's wrong, man. No,
I'm not going to stand here and tell you like it's rubbish or anything like that. It's just like, it's clearly not, because it's got such a massive fan base.
Yeah.
That, you can't say something like that shit. But it doesn't really it didn't hit a chord with me. So
I think it struck a chord with me for various reasons. Again, lifelong Joss Whedon fan. It's got that vibe to it.
So what do you think about Alien Resurrection then?
Alien Resurrection. Oh God.
Because I mean, he obviously didn't direct it, but he
No,
wrote
he wrote
the
it.
script.
He
Yeah.
wrote the script. Yeah. But then Alien Resurrection is one of these moments where you get a film that should be by rights, looking at who wrote it, who
Who
directed it,
directed? Yeah.
who's in it, should be infinitely better than it is.
Yeah. Well, I think with the director and Whedon as a writer, I think their aesthetics just clashed.
Yeah.
Because they're like two different things. But
Well, they're
you can.
worlds apart.
But when watching Alien Resurrection and then watching like something like Serenity or Firefly, you kind of realize where Joss Whedon's coming from. Like it's like that's that kind of humor was meant to be in Alien Resurrection, whereas the director just was like, nah.
It's almost like it's written for laughs and then not shot for laughs.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So that the laughs are in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've just the camera's just kind of glossed right over
Yeah.
them.
I mean, that's the thing I find interesting is the similarities, because I mean Joss Whedon did say that he took essentially what he was trying to do with that script into like Firefly, and you can totally see it once you know once you know, you're like, my God.
I do love it, but then I think that's also to do with my even longer lifelong love of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Just from anything sci-fi or fantasy related, I was just sends back to my dad reading me The Hobbit when I was like 5 years old.
Oh,
you know,
man.
sitting me on his knee with this big book with the full colour illustrations on each.
I don't even think
illustrated
my
page.
dad can read. I mean, my dad can obviously read. He likes reading like non-fiction and stuff like that. And I'm totally going off tangent with your Daredevil, but
We'll get back to it.
But yeah, growing up as a kid, I found it quite hard to find my identity as as an artist, I guess. And you know, I used to draw like comic books, like my own comic books. I was really, really into Batman, and but none of my family were like artistic, and like you should see them like the music. You go through their record, like their vinyl collection, and like they maybe had like 30 vinyl tops. Like 15 of those vinyls were like now that's what I call music. Like they'd
Well,
buy
like number one.
well, yeah. I mean, like it's like it all spans back from like the 70s and 80s. My dad's, I think the most interesting stuff that my dad had as a music listener was Meatloaf's "Bat Out of Hell."
But everybody had that.
Yeah, and Dire Straits' "Brothers in Arms."
Again, everybody had that.
And that's like that's it. That's how that was my dad. The extent of my father's like music taste. So it wasn't until I got to uni really that my eyes and ears are open to this vast like vat of like amazing music and art and stuff like that.
I feel like I'm kind of coming from the, especially parental wise, coming from the completely opposite direction, because I mean, like I remember, but by the time I went to uni, like my dad would send me cassette tapes of what he'd been listening to. He's like, "Oh, I think you'd be really into this," and it was stuff like Cass McCombs and God, what was that guy's name? Swedish guy. I'll remember later on. I don't want to hum and haw for too often. And when I was young, we had a like no. My mum and dad don't have the same taste in music at all. My mum likes Dolly Parton and stuff like that. And, it's not particularly adventurous in her music taste. Likes what she likes, as most people do.
My mum was more of a Sister Sledge,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, you know.
Well, my mum's country, loves her
Wow.
country and folk, and the only thing we had to come to a consensus on what to listen to in the car. So the only thing that what we would generally listen to when we got a bit older was we had these like doo-wop tapes.
Oh.
So it was all like old 50s doo-wop,
Yeah.
which was amazing. And then we occasionally get like a blues tape. And I remember there being a a track on one of the blues tapes that we would listen to in the car, which was Screaming Jay Hawkins doing Tom Waits' Heart Attack and Vine.
Oh my god.
So my dad would just be like, he didn't write this song. This song was written by a guy called Tom Waits, who is excellent. But I'm like, that's a cool song anyway. So my dad's like, oh, you like that? Here's Tom Waits.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Or we'd be sitting down watching Top of the Pops too, and my dad's like, right, this is Captain Beefheart.
well, that's it.
And
Yeah,
tell me all about that and the Bonzo Dog Doodah band and
proper
stuff
musical
like that.
education.
My dad can't play anything, is tone deaf,
Hmm.
can't even bang a fucking tambourine in time, but has the best taste in music.
Yeah. So where
Period.
do you find where your musical talents come from then?
Fuck knows, man.
Perseverance.
Yeah, my mum plays a little bit of guitar, but not much. My
Uh,
big brother played a little bit,
Yeah.
never really got into it. My wee sister played the flute,
Yeah.
but nobody ever really sucked it apart from me.
See, I remember my dad had a guitar, and I don't actually physically remember him playing so much, but um, there was this infamous tape that my mum had that she got so upset 'cause my brother, when he was like 5, destroyed this tape, and she was in tears because it was a recording of me and my dad, right? And my dad was playing the guitar. I don't really have all that much knowledge of this, but he was playing the guitar, like acoustic guitar. And there was me singing on top of it, singing Prince's Purple Rain over my dad, just playing chords. And, apparently,
As a wee boy.
as a wee boy, and my mum says like, my mum's favorite part was like me going, because I couldn't pronounce the word purple, so it was like Purple Rain, and apparently like I stopped halfway through, my dad's playing, and I go, "Mummy, mummy, mummy, I'm singing Purple Rain," and my brother destroyed this tape when he was like 5 years old. And
Oh, dear.
my mum was in tears.
Yeah.
But I don't actually remember my dad, like physically, any sort of physical memory of my dad being into music. But I remember at high school, I really, really want to play guitar. And I remember like, you know, in first and second year, like they kind of introduce you to music. They play keyboard, you play like Elvis tunes, and you get a bit of glockenspiel. But at my school in first and second year, they don't let you touch a guitar. So you got to kind of persevere with all, you know, the keyboard and stuff
Yeah.
like that. They don't even like teach you piano or anything like that. It's all just like the
One finger chords.
exactly that kind of thing. So I remember at the end of second year, you got to pick what you're going to do for your standard grades.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to do standard grade music and I want to do guitar. And my music teacher says to me, it's like, so he sat me down. He's like, look, your grades, your first and second year grades in music aren't great. They're okay. They're not great. And I think you're going to struggle doing standard grade music. And oh man, I tell you, I was distraught. I really, really want to play guitar. And you know, I said to him, look, I just really, really want to play guitar. I think I'll be really good at it. I just really, really want to play. So he's like, okay, you know, I'll recommend to the headmaster that we'll start you off doing standard grade music, and then you can start doing guitar and stuff, and then we'll maybe. You know, because you know how they give you that little lull period before the summer holidays. where you
Yeah,
start-
like the kind of month beforehand. Yeah.
Exactly. So they said, okay, well, if by the summer holidays you feel different, then you know you can maybe take something else. So I was so determined. I was like, no, I'm gonna be great at this. And I remember the first time I sat down with like the guitar, you had those really bad, like a Jim Deacon Strat.
It's a
things.
Jim Deacon or an Encore or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And my teacher gave me this folder of tab. And that was it. He just gave me a folder of tabs. Okay, there's a guitar. Right, I'll come back and show me what you've got. And I remember for that double period going, oh my God, I don't understand. I don't understand this at all. And I remember like strumming like the open strings and then hitting the whammy bar and then realizing, oh, that's that bit in Clarissa Explains It All where Sam comes to the window and he goes, "Bring." So that was the first thing that I learned. But you know, once the teacher explained to me what how tab actually worked, and I still can't read music, but if you listen to it, you kind of work out the numbers, frets, blah blah blah, and then I kind of took it from there, and my teacher, Mr. Sutcliffe, kind of stuck by me ever since then, and then I did my hires and stuff. And then I remember emailing him when I got nominated for the BAFTA for Best Original Music for my short film, and I emailed him. And I was like, "You're never gonna guess this, but I got nominated for a BAFTA for like music composition." And I was like, I just remember, back in the day when you tried to talk me out of doing music. And but it's like, but fair enough, you kind of stuck by me after that. And he sent me this email back saying, um, he's like, I knew you'd always do well because half the time it's all about your personality. And so yeah, it's like kind of an amazing thing because like none of my family are really kind of musical. Um, like not my grandfather, my mum, my dad, and on either side of the family. But I mean, I do also have a cousin who's a classical composer now as well. So like
The
must be there
genetics are in there
somewhere.
somewhere.
Yeah. Um,
So again, I'm like completely opposite direction. I didn't want to do standard grade music and didn't. I didn't start playing until after the start of third year,
right.
and I was just growing up in a tiny wee village. Fuck all to do. So there was guitars lying about the house. So I asked my big brother to teach me how to play guitar, and he said no. He said, "Here's a guitar. Here's a chord sheet. Knock yourself out."
Yeah.
And then within a couple of months, I was like, "Dad, listen to what I can play." And he's
Yeah.
like, "What is it you can play?" Because I've been getting like Total Guitar magazine and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff. I had the
yeah, yeah.
CDs and
Before the internet, were you?
yeah, we had to go out and buy the stuff. There was no YouTube videos telling you how to play anything, and I think it was Apache by the Shadows.
Oh yeah.
And
I actually played that in my standard grade.
yeah, I remember just going down to the kitchen with my acoustic guitar, which is incredibly difficult to play Apache on because you can no whammy bar,
yeah.
and sticking the backing track CD in the CD player and just doing do 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 because there was no down do 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 do, and then just doing the whole thing like all the way through. And my dad's just like, "How long have you been playing that?" I don't know, 3 months. And but I'd taken the music module class, so went and did all these music modules. Just got to spend all my time playing. Did a crash higher in music, but then left after the first month. Just left school. And when I went, you're probably one of these people that actually stayed all the way through school.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. When I left school, you had to go around and get your leaving form signed by all your teachers.
Yeah.
All my teachers, bar one, said, "You're making a mistake. You should stick in school." And the only one that didn't was my music teacher,
Wow.
who I didn't see again until a wedding I was at 2 years ago.
Wow,
I didn't
random.
recognise her, even though she looked exactly the same, but it had been almost 20 years.
Yeah. It's time.
Mrs. Walker. Yeah, that was weird. And then there was me. All she'd ever seen me was me just sitting doing all this stuff, playing like Smashing Pumpkins and whatever it was, and I'm sitting doing this jazz song at a wedding.
So what? Yeah. So what kind of stuff did you start learning?
Did I start learning? Oh, I started learning. It's all old school. It was always like Rolling Stones, but always like the acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
I went the opposite way from most people. I started off on like total acoustic-y kind of stuff, and then old blues, and then slightly newer blues, as in 60s blues, and went on to everything just got weirder and weirder the older I got.
Yeah.
And didn't get into things like electronica and dance music until I was in my 20s.
Yeah. Me
And
too.
then got into weirder and weirder stuff the older I got, instead of like most people I've met who develop a taste in music when they're 14, 15, 16,
Yeah.
and then that's their taste in music.
Well, because my folks weren't into like what we consider good music as such. Not to say that disco and all that is bad music, but you know what I mean. So I I remember the first stuff that I learned was it was always like music that was current at that point, and because mum and dad always listened to the radio and stuff. So I was learning like a lot of Oasis.
Of course.
And I remember going down to the music shop and buying the Stereophonics chord songbook.
I remember seeing that one.
And I used that as a kind of learning tool. And but yeah, a couple of mates of mine at school, because Inverness, I'm from Inverness, and it's it was fairly small back then. And I was learning guitar in high school, so a couple of mates were like, "Oh, do you wanna join our band?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, okay." And they came along and they just wanted me to join the band because I actually played guitar, not because like we had similar taste in music or anything like that. And they were into like Metallica, Megadeth, and AC/DC and stuff, and Smashing Pumpkins. So I started learning these songs with them, and that's where I started learning about all this other music. And I think I had blinkers on as well when I left school. I was listening to a lot of like Metallica, Megadeth, and stuff like that, and basically anything with a guitar in it. And if it didn't have a guitar in it, I just wasn't interested in that kind of music. And I remember I went to uni in 2000, first year, and I had a flatmate who was introducing me to loads of like music and stuff, and he was into like death metal and things like that as well, but he was into a lot of like electronica and stuff, and I was just like, nah, that's not for me, not for me, that. But I remember being quite a big Radiohead fan as well.
Likewise.
And in 2000, I remember going to see Radiohead were playing in Glasgow, and I travelled from Aberdeen to Glasgow, and I was going to meet my friends, but I was the CityLink bus broke down, and I was in Glasgow late. I had to jump in a taxi. And I got there, they were already letting people in. That's when they played under that massive tent.
Yeah.
And I lost my mates because they were doing this thing where if you show up early, you get like a wristband. You get to go into this like bit at the front. So they all got into the front, and I was late, so I had to stay at the back. So it was the first gig that I've ever had to stand on my own, and but it was okay. I love Radiohead, but this is before they released Kid A, and they were playing a lot of Kid A in that tour, and so I remember every second song almost. There was just like this, all this like dance music. Like I figured it's dance music, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I remember being like outraged, like totally outraged. I enjoyed half the gig and hated half of it. And so some of my mates who were there, like they'd already been like, because they were rich enough to have internet back then, and they were downloading MP3s, and so they were ahead of the curve. So they kind of knew what was coming.
Going to be coming, yeah.
And so when Kid A came out, as a fanboy, I bought it. And I had that. I remember I had that booklet underneath the tray with the kind of like sketches of Tony Blair and stuff. And I put that onto tape. So I remember on one side of this, how you got 45.
Yeah.
45 minutes each side of the tape. So on one side of the tape, I had like a best of Radiohead kind of thing, and on the other side of the tape, I just recorded the entire of Kid A onto this tape, and then I had one of those CD players that had this automatic kind of like changer when you hit the end. So at art school, I just had this on, and I was doing my work, and then I was just forced myself to listen to it, and I don't know, I think like something clicked when you listen to that album with headphones on, and you hear all these intricate little parts, and like making full use of the stereo spectrum.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing like the different tones they're creating from not only guitars but synthesizers and samples and stuff like that. And I don't know, something just clicked with me there, and I was like, this is amazing. So then I went out, I went to my flatmate, and I was like, oh, have you got any stuff like this? And he's like, oh yeah. He started giving me starting me off simple, giving me like Bjork and like Massive Attack and like Uncle and stuff, and
Yeah.
like, DJ Shadow. And I was consuming this stuff, like, oh my god, this is changing my life, And from there, it just kind of like I think I realized, well, if I can like electronic music, maybe I can like other stuff as well. And yeah, and that's when I started actually listening to music.
I think there's always a moment where it kind of changes. Mine was when I was in college, and I was still of that mindset that anything electronic was not real music.
Yeah.
And was looking for something else to do, and there was an ad up for guitarists wanted for a degree project.
Right.
Because the degree students were like the year above me at that point, and they all had to do a project, so they had to start getting people in from the year below, just to fill them, so that they had a full band.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't all play in each other's bands, nobody would have the time to do the degrees. And going along, and my guitar tutor recommended me to the band and said, yeah, he's good enough to do it. And it was a trip hop band. So they're just like, right, learn these guitar parts.
Yeah.
And then I only learned half the guitar parts because I didn't realise that half of them were guitar parts.
Right.
It was all stuff like Portishead, Tricky, Uncle, I think it was Massive Attack, Lamb was another one. some Beth Orton in there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, there's actually some good stuff in here.
Yeah.
But then I don't think it was really until meeting Callum Cousin who introduced me to like Motor and stuff
Oh
like
wow,
that,
yeah, yeah.
and getting me into some real like throbbing
Yeah,
techno,
yeah.
and just be like, oh my god, this is like metal, but it's not.
Yeah, I remember my flatmate uni, and he'd always like even after we weren't living together, and after we live in like halls, he'd always like be sending me stuff, and he started getting to like some really severe drone and like GABA as well, and I was like, oh, maybe there is a line somewhere.
All of which brings us neatly back round to what you were going to say about Daredevil.
Yeah, so um, I watched Daredevil more out of curiosity than anything.
Had you seen the Ben Affleck Daredevil?
Oh God, yeah, totally.
So bad.
I mean, it's like I don't know. It was a different time. Like everyone
Yeah.
like slates him, but it's like there were pretty much no good comic book movies really in that era before.
First X-Men, maybe.
Well-
Second X-Men, definitely.
Well, that's it. It's like X-Men came along and then showed studios that the comic book movie was a viable thing, but they didn't stop and ask themselves why X-Men and X-Men 2 were good films. So the reason why like something like Daredevil, doesn't work. It's like they just crammed so much like of what was currently trendy at that point, and it was like that whole kind of stuff like Evanescence and things like
Yeah.
that, and and all that kind of like they just discovered bullet time,
And then every film had bullets.
exactly. I know, and so like, and that took precedence over the actual script. I like I said, I'm not all that clued up on my comic books, but I used to work at the Arches, and the press, one of the press guys that worked there, the music press guy, Bram Gieben, who's the Scottish Poetry Slam champion, by the way.
Oh.
He says to me, he's like, "Oh man, you've got to give Daredevil a chance, because Daredevil is pretty much like you're really into Batman, like Daredevil is essentially Marvel's Batman. It's quite a dark thing."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I can't imagine the Marvel Cinematic Universe going dark." So I watched Daredevil, and first episode, I was like, "Oh, this is good." Like the only points where it kind of comes down is maybe the kind of interaction between, his best friend and the
Yeah.
it's a bit like but the rest of it's there's a lot of potential there. And then I started watching it, and it's like, I mean the reason why I wanted to give it that chance is because like I'm a massive Vincent D'Onofrio fan.
Oh God, yes.
Like I even love Cell for all my sins, but since like Full Metal Jacket,
I'm going to bring the cell back in a minute, but keep going.
but like since Full Metal Jacket, what an amazing performance in that, and even like his Orson Welles in Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
Yeah.
He's such a great actor. So I was like, I'd love to see what he does with a character like Kingpin, and I was loving just like obviously the brutal fight scenes. Like that's that second episode where
The fight scene at the end of the second episode, which is like,
I mean, it's like it's obvious, where their influence came from. Obviously with Old Boy and stuff like that. Now, when you look at Spike Lee's Old Boy,
I can't bring myself to watch it.
but then, well, he tries to one up that fight scene in the hallway, and it's like, well, if you try and one up it, then you're going to overdo it.
Yeah.
And it does overdo it, and what happens is, because you're trying to overdo it, the character becomes almost like this superhuman character. So in the Old Boy remake, Josh Brolin's character, he feels superhuman, because they even start fighting over different levels and jumping over the staircases or something. But what's so good about the original Old Boy is like he's getting hit with a claw hammer in his back, and you can see he feels it, but he's going to go regardless. And that's what's good about the Daredevil.
Yeah.
And when they fight, going in and out of the different rooms, and he's knackered when he comes out of that last room.
It's what I love is like where they take it away from the kind of Old Boy thing is where they have obviously the angle that they've just completely gone for facing down the corridor,
Mm-hmm.
and the camera moves a bit through past the rooms, and then you bits where you only hear what's happening,
Yeah.
and then someone comes staggering out the
Well,
room, and
that's it. I mean, it's like that's where they've used something as a reference point and as an influence, and then done their own take on it. And
yeah,
and that's I applaud them for that. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, like that was really that was really violent. And that's the thing you get away with when you do something on something like Netflix, because it's
Yeah.
like on the internet. You wouldn't get away with that on terrestrial television. So yeah, that hooked me in, and I was like, wow, that's violent. But I didn't realize they were going to step that up. That
the
spoiler alert, but
the door,
yeah,
the car
exactly.
door scene.
Well,
Oh
like
Jesus!
they just kept on stepping it up and stepping it up and stepping it up, and and I was just like, when you see the car door bit, and then you're like, oh, that's gross, and you hear the sound, and then you see the blood, and I thought, man, that's so high in my estimations. But then you see his headless body like collapse to the floor, and I was like, yes, yes, give me more of this. And but this is Marvel. I mean, you compare this stuff to like Thor and the Iron Man stuff. Like it's so different.
They seem to be, with the Netflix stuff, consciously being different.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got the next season of Daredevil versus Punisher to look forward to.
Oh, I know. But this is the thing. Like this incarnation of Daredevil works on Netflix because you can make it as violent as you want and people will consume it. But there's this whole thing of where movies, when they get released, to make their budget back, everyone wants things to be PG-13 because it opens up to a wider audience, obviously, because children can go. But if you've made something really, really violent, and it's like, in America they call it NC-17 or something. But if something's an 18 here, then you're obviously limiting your audience, your cinema going audience. So it's difficult for them to make a return. And this thing, like, cinema is a business. I get that. I mean, but everyone who works in that business consider them an artist, where they just don't care about profit margins and things like that. But with something like Daredevil, there is more of a acceptance for it, and you do get away with that kind of violence. But I don't think they would get away with that if they released a Daredevil movie. They might now because of the how successful it's been.
Yeah.
But the good thing about the Daredevil TV series is you got this slow burning plot as well.
Rather than we're going to get Daredevil in, obviously we're going to get Kingpin in, we're going to get Bullseye in, we're going to get Elektra in, and we're going to do it all in an hour and 3/4.
But that's the thing. Like, you've got all this, but then if you look at other Marvel movies, how uninteresting are the villains, because they need to make their heroes heroic, and we've got 2 hours to do it, and then the villain's normally like a side project. I mean, apart from Loki, he's probably like the only decent villain they've had so far, in my eyes.
I kind of enjoyed Lee Pace, but I think that's just because it's Lee Pace, and that's where my throwback to The Cell comes in, because Tarsem Singh's one of these guys that almost everything he does, looks amazing, but is not interesting, with the exception of The Fall, which is the only film that he had almost complete control over.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible film, and I love it, and it's gorgeous and lush, and it's got Lee Pace in it.
And I've not seen his Snow White film.
Oh God, I can't bring myself to watch it.
But for some reason I really loved The Cell, just because its visuals. I mean, I think when it came out, I was maybe 17, 18. So, but I remember D'Onofrio's character being like, I don't know, like really, really scary, and his performance in it is like, it's so big, but like without being overly theatrical.
What was the film he did? He did a film, I think it was with Val Kilmer, where he wore a prosthetic nose.
Oh, that rings a bell, yeah.
It was either Spartan or The Salton Sea. Might be in the Salton Sea. I can't remember. I just remember watching this really weird film with Vincent D'Onofrio wearing what was supposed to be like a metal nose.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like he'd had his nose removed and he'd been replaced it with this metal nose.
Iron nose.
I was like, oh my god, Vincent D'Onofrio, what have you become? A man with a metal nose.
But I mean, with coming back to Daredevil, you know, I cared so much about Kingpin.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up watching like the Spider-Man cartoon and stuff like that, and Kingpin was just this, you know, this villain that Spider-Man had to defeat. Yeah, exactly. But in this, like, you really cared for him. He had that, you know, relationship with Vanessa and stuff, and
Yeah.
and that whole thing about his childhood, and that white painting with the textures on it, and they come
And
back to
how
that
they
with-
come back to that at the end.
It's like, you know,
it's beautifully
it's
done.
so beautifully written, and they don't. It's like you don't feel that way for villains a lot in stuff.
The way I saw it with him is, you know, that way he has of talking.
Yes.
You know, it's very laboured. Everything's almost forced out.
Yeah.
I just saw that as whenever you see him explode, you know, get properly violent, the way he talks is him not being violent.
Yeah.
It's him trying to not be his father.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
repressing the violent urges and the, you know, and all that. And this is how he keeps it in. And you know, if he can control what he says and what he does, that makes him a not violent person.
Yeah.
You know, because everything up until the car door scene, everything that happens, he may have ordered or sanctioned or been in control of, but he doesn't do it.
Yeah, well, that's it. He doesn't want to be a violent person. That's
No.
why he seeks this relationship with Vanessa.
And when he's talking about wanting to make Hell's Kitchen a better place, he does want to make Hell's Kitchen a better place. That is his end goal.
Yeah, and you do
He's
believe
not
it.
seeking world domination or anything like that.
Yeah. But
He's just going about it the wrong way.
and that's where you see that kind of duality between the two characters of the Daredevil and Kingpin, and you know they talk about it in Unbreakable where. You're two sides of the same coin.
I do love
kind of
Unbreakable.
Me too.
I do love it. I think it's...
But that's a perfect example of it. Is they both want the same thing. They want to make Hell's Kitchen a better place, but they've got these two different ways of going about it. You know.
And for my money, neither of them's right.
Yeah, totally.
Which is the kicker in the whole thing. The way Vincent D'Onofrio does it is wrong because people are being, you know, forced out where they don't want to be forced out of, you know, powers being given to unscrupulous people. Mm-hmm. And the way Daredevil's doing it is ultimately so slow to take out villains one at a time, you know, that doesn't actually achieve any progress. I mean, he may be making it safer for you to walk down the street, but, you know, it's not making your life any better.
Yeah.
On a day-to-day basis.
No.
You know, they're both fighting the same fight and they're both doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately the great Greek tragedy of Daredevil.
And it's also got a great crime thriller in there.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, you look at something like The Dark Knight, and I know everyone goes on about how good The Dark Knight is, and people to the point now where people are saying it's overrated. But I still think that film elevates the comic book movie genre. Because you take Batman and Joker out of that film, and it's still got an amazing crime thriller, to it, to like Heat,
Yeah.
And that's what Daredevil had for me as well. It had this great, crime story, and it's not just like, like MacGuffins where the lead, the hero has to gain something because that little glowing box is going to give great power to the bad guy who can take over the world. And that's with a lot of Marvel movies. That's all you have to believe. That's all you have to know. That's all you have to believe. And it's all about, even with something like the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is such a fun movie.
Yeah, it's great.
But in essence, that is what's driving the story. Is this like all powerful thing that the bad guy has to get to make himself extremely powerful and take over the universe.
For people that don't study film, can you explain the term MacGuffin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not quite sure where it comes from, but there is, there is like a source of where it comes from. But if you think of films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you've got the Ark of the Covenant, and it's just an object, but you know, Indiana Jones wants to get it, but then the Nazis want to get it. Indiana Jones has it. Oh no, he doesn't. Now the Nazis have it. You know, that that's the extent of where the story is. They're after this one object that's driving this story, and it's not necessarily any intricate, twists, character arcs, etc., etc. That's what the whole thing is driving it. So, if you think of, I don't know, Captain America, you've got what's it called? The Tesseract.
Tesseract.
Yeah, yeah.
I keep thinking it's not the Tesseract because Tesseract's a band, but it is the Tesseract.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Tesseract is also a band.
So yeah, he who controls the Tesseract has
Yeah.
power, and then in Avengers, it's the spear thing. Is it not?
It's been a while since I've seen the.
It's
It's not just the Tesseract again.
maybe it is. I think it is.
It's
the
the
Tesseract
Tesseract again. The Loki spears. Age of
Oh, of
Ultron.
course, yeah, of course, yeah. So
But then that all gets played out right at the beginning, and then you get the. It's the whole AI gone wild thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I've actually had a bunch of stuff that I was supposed to ask you about.
All right.
I think we're already past the hour mark. I actually have to. We're gonna have to wrap this up.
Make it a quick fire question.
Quick fire question round. Okay. So after Sunsets and Silhouettes, for which you were nominated the best original score for the music,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
BAFTA, did you get any other short films lined up in the near future?
I was this year on the Scottish Film Talent Network Scottish Shorts scheme, where they take on 14 projects. They help you develop your scripts and stuff. And then you pitch for, it was up to 10 grand to make your short film. I was on that, but unfortunately, after my pitch, I didn't get the funding. So it's just been a case of like writing some other stuff and working on some music videos.
Nice. And the next one was Inverness, Aberdeen, Glasgow. You've lived in all those places.
And Dundee as well.
And you lived in Dundee as
for
well?
a year, yeah.
Wow. Inverness is only one of those places that I've never lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My girlfriend's from Inverness.
She still live there, does she?
No, she doesn't. We can talk about that off air. But which of those is your favourite?
Glasgow. Yeah, I love going back to Inverness at Christmas time and stuff. It's kind of a nostalgic thing. I loved it when I moved to Aberdeen, because when Inverness was a small town, then Aberdeen was a bigger place. I don't want to piss off a lot of Aberdonians, but like since 2000 when I lived there to now, the place has just gone downhill so much, and it's not just because of like things like the Union Terrace Gardens thing, but it's because the lack of investment in the cultural sector and the arts, etc., and everything's gone into let's build another Nando's, and etc., etc. It's become so grim as well.
It's changed so much since even I lived there.
Yeah,
I barely recognise it when I'm up there playing.
I was there with my dad once, and he was in the my dad was in the Gulf War. He's a soldier, and he likened Union Street to when he was in Beirut. So
that's not a glowing recommendation.
But I struggled as a musician and a filmmaker after uni for like almost 10 years. I was in Aberdeen for, and since moving to Glasgow, my film company, Fat Tom Films, has been nominated for three BAFTA New Talent Awards, and we've won one. And you don't. That was never possible with trying to make stuff in Aberdeen.
It's just a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, well, it's not just because like because there's no funding in Aberdeen and all that. Everyone's got to be in their bonnet in
Mm-hmm.
Aberdeen, but not getting funding and stuff like that. I mean, Glasgow and Edinburgh, the Central Belt, there's a lot of people, like big massive population of people doing these things. But you've got like you've got the Screen Academy and the Royal Conservatoire and stuff. There's just this massive hub of all these creative folk that when you start making like a film project, there's so many resources of people to help you out. When I was making films in Aberdeen, it'd be like a one-man band. Me and my colleague Sean, we were both directors, and like we started off shooting our own films, and then we found like a guy who was would like to get into the whole DOP thing. Then he'd shoot our films, but then half the time you're holding the boom mic.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing the makeup. No one's doing the costume. You're rifling through people's like wardrobes, thinking of what to wear and stuff like that. Then on Sunsets and Silhouettes, we had a producer involved. Did our little Kickstarter campaign, but we had so many people from like the RCS. We got the actors and
Mm-hmm.
all this acting talent to come on board. You're not just asking your friends to be in your movies anymore. But we had I had a production designer, art director. We had makeup artist with two other assistants. Costume. You got heads of department for all your departments, and that instantly makes your films better because you don't have to worry about that anymore. So when you're on set, you don't have to worry about holding the boom mic, checking the levels, etc. You get to work with the actors, and actually direct your film, and then at the end of it, you come back with something better, and and that reflects in the work, obviously, with all this kind of success that we're having at the moment.
Amazing. And what do you prefer, shooting your own stuff or like music videos?
Uh, Obviously, I prefer shooting my own stuff. I want to get into being, a fiction film director at some point to make features. I think that's what every filmmaker wants to do. Every director wants to do.
Yeah.
I love making short film music videos because it keeps you busy in that sense. Because one thing I've learned this year from developing my film project with a Creative Scotland funded organisation is that there's so much work goes into developing it as a director. You're controlling every element, especially when you're writing as well, and that sometimes the film might not happen. It takes you a year to get your script up to scratch, and then you get to ready to shoot, and then you shoot, and then you spend like another 6 months to 8 months, editing it, doing like all the post-production stuff, and it's you as a director locked into that project. Sometimes the project doesn't happen; it falls apart. But if you're like a DOP, you could be doing like 6 to 12 like projects a year, and and it's really difficult as a director to keep doing stuff. But that's where the music videos come in. You're keeping your hand in that because you're because you've got this ready kind of thing happening. You can make small stories like 2-3 minutes long, and then you work with your DOP and other your other department heads when you're working on a music video that you wouldn't necessarily do if you didn't have the money to make a film. So that when it does eventually come back to when you do have a pot of money to make your short film, like you're not like, oh fuck, I've not made a film in 3 years. How do I do this again?
Cool. I think we're just gonna have to end it on that note. And the final question: what's your favourite Disney film?
Favorite Disney film?
Favourite Disney film?
Christ, including Pixar or
Including Pixar. We're not just saying animated and not specifically Disney. It can be Disney, Pixar.
well, my favorite Pixar film is probably The Incredibles, but my favorite Disney film is probably has to be The Lion King.
It's a classic.
Because I know every word to every song.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I will get into it.
We'll leave it at that. Probably many subjects that we could have covered if we were. It's been so long talking about Daredevil.
I know,
but
right?
It is worth talking about. So we're just gonna finish it up there. Thank you, Mr. Tim
Cool.
Courtney.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. And that's it.
Thanks. Bye.
Hello. 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 HelloFi.
Thank you for listening to the HelloFi podcast, episode 2 with Tim Courtney. You can keep abreast of what he's been doing over at timcourtney.co.uk or for his production company at factotumfilms.co.uk. The Swedish guy's name that I was mulling about earlier was Nikolai Dunger, so you should go and check him out. He is excellent. Next time we've got Mr. Ryan Joseph Burns, former of the 17th century, playing with blood relatives, amongst other things. And I have no idea what we're going to be talking about. Could be anything. Until next time then, stay lo-fi.